Okay, so I'm gonna do a pretty quick wavy hair routine today. Nothing too elaborate. I am so freaking cold. By the way, this is my first time going live on YouTube, so if you catch me on YouTube, hey! So we are just fully saturating. I did have my hair fully wet already out of the shower, and we just fixed our hot water tank, and for some reason it's not letting me run a hot bath. So I tried to run a hot bath and ended up having a lukewarm bath, and it's January in Canada. So I got such a freaking chill. And now, so then I ended up with soaking wet hair crawling under the covers in my bed. And now my hair is partially dry again. So we're gonna fully saturate it. I'm gonna try only using 2 products today. The Curl Keeper Original Styler and the Love Your Curls Irish Sea Moss Gel is just my favorite gel. I just need to start by getting my hair fully saturated because it's like super not dry. My hair was getting a little over moisturized on my last wash day, interestingly enough. I've been noticing, the last like 3 wash days I've been being cautious. Like I could tell that my hair was getting a little stretchy. It's like, and maybe not quite as curly as it usually is. For me, those are like pretty big indicators. And so because of that, I've been really, yeah, but January in Canada, meaning snow. So, anyways, I forget what I was saying, but yeah, we're just gonna get fully saturated here. Oh yeah, so I was getting over moisturized, so I've been taking it really easy, and this last wash day, I actually skipped conditioning. And I went straight in. I did do the Rapid Hair Repair by Curl Keeper. It was my first time doing it. It was nice. It's definitely not like an overly moisturizing hair repair kit. I think it's supposed to be more like a bond treatment type thing, except it's a heck of a lot cheaper. So anyways, I think it was a good treatment to do having recently straightened my hair. The Rapid Hair Repair by Curl Keeper, and also being kind of on the verge of being over moisturized. I think that Rapid Hair Repair in lieu of like a moisturizer or of a conditioner was kind of like a good middle ground. My curls are so tiny and separated. Do I brush style to make them more large ringlets? So there's lots of different styles of brush styling, but even just like brushing through your hair while it's soaking wet is going to help them like clump a little bit more. I think what you're describing is like very stringy curls, because like there's nothing wrong with having tiny curls. To a certain extent, that can just be a curl pattern. But if you find that it's looking stringy, that could just be that, you know, brushing through with a brush while your hair is soaking wet. Like if it's looking like this, where it's a little bit stringy. Do you see what I'm talking about here? Everything's looking a little bit piecey and stringy. If I just brush through that, it's really gonna help everything clump. So I don't have any products in yet, but we are about to go throughout and add the original Curl Keeper. I really like the original Curl Keeper. If you need something super lightweight that's like water-based, like I said, my hair was getting a little over moisturized, so I love falling back on the Curl Keeper instead of a leave-in conditioner for days like today, because it's not gonna weigh down my, oops, oh no, I just spilled it all over myself. It's not going to weigh down my hair at all. So you can use a lot of this product. It's very watery. It's meant to kind of replicate water in your hair. I actually did a little interview that I think I posted on my TikTok channel of one of the founders. I don't know if he's the founder or one of the founders of Curl Keeper. This is what the bottle looks like, by the way. It's the original. His name is Jonathan Torch, and he was talking about how they invented this product, which is he kind of felt like curls were perfect when they're wet, which I think is an interesting concept, because how many of us, when we're still trying to figure out how to style our hair, like if you go to a pool party and you do wet your hair, you just keep re-wetting your hair. You never let it dry. Because you know it's gonna get like frizzy and wild when it dries, so you keep re-wetting it. It's that kind of a concept. So yeah, original Curl Keeper. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of rake that through with my, no, actually I need a brush. So the idea of the Curl Keeper Original product is that all it really does is control frizz. It's a really unique product. It's not gonna weigh down your hair, so it's really good for my girlies and boys and everyone in between with fine hair, or just generally curl pattern that gets weighed down really, really easily. And really all it does is control frizz. So it's gonna give you a definition that looks kind of similar to a gel, but it doesn't have as much hold power as a gel. So if you used exclusively a gel, you might get kind of a similar result, but probably your hair would be more weighed down if you used exclusively a gel, depending on your hair pattern. Some people can use exclusively a gel. This is going to be, if you're using it on its own, like less hold than a gel, all the frizz control and definition, and none of the weight. Does that make sense? It's really unique, unlike any other product I've used. And the key is, I think a lot of people don't use enough of this product when they go to use it. You're gonna use way more of Curl Keeper, the original, than you would of pretty much any other wavy or curly hair product that you've ever used. Because again, it's like replicating water. Does that make sense? So, because I'm adding lots of the product, I'm actually gonna section my hair so I know where I've added it to make sure I don't miss any spots. Maybe I'll just do the top in 2 sections here. The hair's getting so long, oh my gosh. This is gonna be a relatively quick live today, I think, guys. I'm not gonna do like a full 2-hour routine, I don't think. I mean, I say that now, famous last words. So you can see, I don't know if you can see, it's very runny though. And I just put it everywhere. It does have an odor to it, kind of like a powdery smell to it. Briogeo has some great products. I haven't used many of them. I really like their Scalp Revival Tea Tree, I think it's a mask for your scalp. It's like a cooling mask, and it's amazing if you have itchy scalp, but it's the only Briogeo product I've heard. Yeah, my baby girl in the background, she's got a skin infection on her butt, and she's not happy. She's been very upset lately. This is a full, well, technically I washed my hair 2 days ago, but I didn't style my hair, so my hair's just been up in a bun. So I guess we'll call it a wash day. It's closer to a wash day than a refresh. Okay, so again, so I'll show you how much I'm adding to this section. Like quite a bit. Again, it's really tough to overdo it with Curl Keeper. It's not going to weigh your hair down. I'm sure you can overdo it. You can overdo it with any product, but it's tough. It's very tough to overdo it. It really doesn't weigh stuff down. It's very, very lightweight. And I think that's because it's water-based. And like I said, the founder was really just trying to replicate what water does on your hair. Okay. And when Jonathan was styling my hair, he added a lot. And any time that he was styling an area throughout the whole time he did my hair, if he got to a certain area and he felt like there wasn't much slip, he would go get a few more pumps of Curl Keeper and add a little bit more. Okay, so I've pretty much added it everywhere. I am just gonna add a little bit more in the back. I haven't used their spray leave-in conditioner. Oh, you mean the Briogeo probably. I've heard good things about Briogeo for, like, I'm sure they have lots of products, but I know they have some products that are good and nice and lightweight. Yeah, I've heard that too. But again, I haven't used many of their products. I haven't used any of their curl products. I've only used their Scalp Revival. Oh, I really hurt my back at the gym the other day. So this is gonna be a real test. Okay. Okay, so we added a whole bunch of the Curl Keeper Original. Maybe I'll just add a little bit more to the ends because I have the worst split ends right now. So it's just gonna help with that frizz control and the flyaways to get a little bit more definition through those ends there. And then I am gonna add gel as well, just for a little bit more longevity. The other place that I tend to forget to apply product is just in my bangs. I don't know why I missed that spot too, but anyways, those are the 2 spots that I tend to forget to put product. Okay, so routine that you can do at this point is this. You brush all the way through, you scrunch, part your hair wherever it wants to part, and you can let it air dry from here. And already here you're going to have some really good frizz control from having used the original styler. You have some like decent little like curl, like wave clumps here. You're not gonna get a lot of root volume if you just let your hair air dry like this, so it's very, or at least if you have a curl pattern like mine, where it's a wavy hair pattern that does not curl near the root, then you're not gonna get much root volume if you just kind of like brush it all down like that to smooth the frizz. Nothing wrong with that. In fact, some haircuts are actually like aiming for more of that triangle shape, but like I could definitely just let it air dry if it wasn't freezing outside, or I could diffuse it from here. We're gonna do one more step that for me is just really gonna like amp up the results. I'm going to quickly glaze over the Irish Sea Moss gel, which is gonna give me a little bit more longevity. I do have a 10% off code for this one. It's GHWH10. And it's by Les Brands. The link is in my bio, so you can check that out. So I'm kind of ruining all the brushing out I just did. And I'm really not overthinking it here. I'm just kind of adding it all over. Glaze this one all over the back. Okay, and I'm going to brush it up and off my scalp because I actually really like to have root volume. And that first styling technique that I just showed you, although it's really simple, everything's gonna lie really flat against my scalp. So now I'm gonna show you what I would do if I wanna have a little bit more of that root volume and a little bit more vol, like just like, how many times can I say the word volume? My God. Okay, so again, an easy thing you can just do is brush through like this instead of brush styling. Scrunch. That is a really simple alternative to brush styling. I'm not going to do that. I don't know why I'm showing you guys so many alternatives today. I know a lot of people are afraid of brush styling. Every time I do these, everyone's like, okay, but I don't want to do the brush styling. It's too complicated. I get that. The brush styling we're doing today is actually pretty simple. I'm not going to be like doing the brush twirly thing. We call it brush, well, I call that brush curls. I'm not going to be doing that. I'm just going to be doing pretty regular brush styling. But it is going to make a pretty big difference in the final result. Okay. So I don't know if you can tell, but see, it's like a little bit more lifted already around the root. That's already making a really big difference. But now I want to brush through again and get that, like those clumps that we had earlier, but without it being so weighed down at the root. So I'm just going to section off the top half. Like I'm just definitely sitting in my bathroom right now, don't mind me. And I like to use a Denman brush. Since I added my gel all at the same time and didn't like section to make sure I got the middle of the back with the gel, as I go through, I am just like making sure I add a little touch more. You can also add gel after you do brush styling. That's probably better for volume, but I just don't feel like doing that. Thank you, Lily. Welcome. Yeah, brush styling can be a really big game changer, and guys, it doesn't have to be complicated. So I like to take sections about that size. The section can be whatever size you want, but the smaller the section, the easier it is to get the curl to start closer to the root. That's one thing to keep in mind. If you're struggling with frizz near your roots, you're gonna want slightly smaller sections so that you can get closer to the root with the brush. And that's all I'm doing as far as brush styling. I'm really just brushing through from as close to the root as I can. I'm brushing through like that. If you want, you can go through afterwards and give her a little shake. That's like the rake and shake method. You've probably seen that before. To revive the curl pattern. And I'm kind of going through, I would call this like 1.5 inch sections all the way around my head. It doesn't have to take a long time, and then just shake it out. So, I mean, we're at 220 more or less right now. So we'll see how long this takes me to do my whole head. I bet I can do the whole thing in less than 10 minutes. Okay. And really the idea here is we're kind of brushing it out and away, so we are giving that little bit of root volume so it's not like plastered to your scalp if root volume is something you struggle with. But also we are creating these nice clumps so that everything isn't stringy, and we're smoothing that wet frizz. So those are all of the really main goals of what we're trying to achieve here. So do another little rake and shake. This is a lot easier to do on someone else's hair, but you kind of get used to it. And the idea of the rake and shake is really just to revive the curl pattern. This is a bit too big of a section. I don't know if you can tell, so I'm going to split it into a top and a bottom section, just so I can get a little bit closer to the root. The brush from Lust that's kind of pointy, I think they only have one brush, and it's a detangling brush. I don't think they have more than one brush. If it's like white and it's got pink bristles, I think, I wouldn't use that for this. You can use it for brush curls, but it's really tricky to use. Okay. Okay, so we're just brushing through like that. See how it creates those nice ribbons? And that little bit of lift right there at the root. You can give a little scrunch if you want. Okay, so we're going to keep going. Yes, you can use that to use brush curls, but it is one of the trickiest brushes to do brush curls with. Like, you're better off just using a regular paddle brush from the dollar store to do brush curls than to use that brush. It's because the face of it is so big that it's like hard to get a grip, and the bristles are so short, it's hard to get a grip. Okay, so as for the back, guys, the one thing that you want to be mindful of is you don't want to style the back of your hair forward, otherwise you end up with a part at the back of your head. So I just like to brush it up and out. In my experience, I get the best results at the back of my head when I don't overthink it. So I don't even try to see what I'm doing. I just brush it, hope that that removed any tangles and smooth the frizz, kind of give it a little scrunch. And that's the least spirally section of my whole head. So you would think I would want to give it the most love. I just don't worry about it. Okay, so we're gonna keep going. We're already almost at the top of my head. Oh God, okay. Oh no, we're only 3 minutes in, guys. I said thought I could do this whole thing in 10 minutes. And we're already more than halfway, and it's been 3 minutes. So you can see you get pretty fast once you get used to it. It's really not that time consuming. So again, I'm just taking a brush and I'm just brushing through to create slightly more clumped and less stringy. And then I'm gonna go through to create the individual clumps. And I'm just gonna give it a little shake to revive that curl pattern. Okay, and that's it, as simple as that. And we'll do the other side now. Again, the back, I like to style directly backwards, and it's really, really gonna make a big difference to make sure that everything is lying directly backwards and you don't create this open gap where you can see your scalp. Obviously, if you have super thick hair, that's less of an issue, but on my hair, that's something I definitely wanna be mindful of. Okay. Okay. I have these little ladybugs. Oh my God, the little ladybugs that bite. They've infested our home. Every winter they do it. I don't know if you guys have those. So again, all that I have on my hair so far is the original Curl Keeper, just for frizz control, and a little bit of the Irish Sea Moss gel. So some pretty lightweight products. The gel is gonna give me a little bit more hold. Now that I've gone to the side, I'm just going to do the same thing that we've been doing. I'm just brushing through to smooth any frizz, give it that lift up and away from the scalp. I might give it a little bit more of a gravity-fed curl technique here, where I really focus on making sure I'm encouraging that first curl near the root. Okay, That's a gravity-fed curl technique, and you see how it really creates that first bend there? I don't worry too much about the rest of it. For me, especially when I'm getting to these edges where I really fall flat, that's gonna make a huge difference in the final amount of volume that I get. But as you can see, I really reserve that technique for when I'm getting to closer to the top of my head. So again, we'll go in with another gravity-fed curl here. Brush it straight up. Focus on creating that first bend right at the root. I like to give it a little scrunch just to reinforce it. And then give the ends a little shake. And it just really encourages that first bend right there and right there. And later on, that will be really noticeable in the end, how much volume it gives me. Okay. So we're gonna do more of the gravity-fed curls here, but now you'll see me do a bit of a hybrid. This is when I get a little fancy. Because now, okay, so naturally you'll see my cowlick where I have a natural part there between the two sections. So then I let that part, I just find it easier to work with the separate curl directions. I focus on getting that first bend at the root, which is gonna help me so much with getting volume at the roots. Okay, but once I've got that first bend, that's when I do a little finger curl. You don't have to do that, but I don't know, for me, this just gives me that extra little bit of like a polished look to the curl. 1 second, and then unwind it. No, that's not what I did the other day. I remember what I did the other day. Sorry, I did something the other day and I'm like, what was that? If you saw my vlog when I went to go shadow my stylist, here's what I did. I know, I did the gravity-fed curls built into a brush styling technique. So we're gonna do some brush styling instead. But the problem with brush styling is it always inevitably flattens near the root. So the first thing is when I'm brush styling, I unwind rather than pulling it through. And then the second thing is after I've brush styled, I go back in and scrunched the roots to really encourage that first bend. That was what I did. Okay. So we're gonna do one more of those. It would be even better if you clipped these while you were doing the rest of them. That would really, really help. Do root clips or something like that. Okay, so I'm gonna do another brush curl. And then I'm gonna unwind it. This is just gonna help with shaping the end of the curl to make sure we've got these like nice defined spirals. Lovely. Now I'm going in and encouraging that first bend here at the root to make sure that we didn't flatten the roots. Okay, now we're gonna do this side. And I'm going to style it away from my face. So we're going to do another brush curl, wrapping around the handle. Remember, you just put it through the bristles one time. You don't want to wrap around the bristles multiple times, otherwise you're going to be cutting the brush out of your hair. And then I like to unwind it, which gives me that nice defined ringlet, but then I really focus on scrunching and encouraging that curl, that first bend at the root, like what we do in gravity-fed curls, and you could even clip that if you wanted to. I did this the other day and I really like the results. So this is only my second time doing this kind of combination of techniques. So I'm curious to see how it turns out, because last time my results were stellar. Okay, so we're almost at the 10-minute mark, so we're really not taking too long to do this. I'm pretty impressed with myself. Okay, so we're just doing a traditional brush curl again, and then I'm going to unwind to pull it out. Have nice defined ringlet, and again, I'm gonna scrunch it right at the root to really make sure we are encouraging that root volume. Now do the other side. Wrapping around the handle, only putting it through the bristles one time and wrapping all the way up to the root. And again, I'm like pushing it towards there and just unwinding rather than pulling too much. So hopefully we get the nice spiral definition that you get from brush curls. There we go. Are you guys having technical difficulty by any chance? Okay, so for this last little section, I'm just going to pretty quickly brush through it, I think. Let's see, I have one more really long section. Sometimes when I'm in this room, the connection keeps dropping, but I don't think we're having any issues today. Okay, so for a brush curl, I'm gonna put the brush at a downward angle and start pulling it through the bristles, wrapping around the handle. I'm gonna keep pulling it through until just the tips of the hair are pulling through the bristles, you see? And then that's gonna be my cue to wrap it all the way up to the root. We've now got the full spiral formed. You can either pull it or unwind it, whatever is easiest for you. And now I go back in with my little scrunch to really focus on reinforcing that curl right at the root, which is gonna help me so much with volume later on. And let's see, how are we doing? We've maybe got one more big one right here. Just going away from the face. So put your brush at a downward angle. Wrap it through the bristles for grip. You're gonna keep rotating, this time wrapping around the handle. It's so important that you don't put it through the bristles multiple times or else you will end up cutting the brush out of your hair. So I'm gonna keep wrapping it around the handle. And remember, if at any point it gets too tight, you should just be able to unwind a little bit, right? So keep wrapping, and then I'm just gonna start unwinding just like that, and it gives me the shaping of the spiral just like that, and it's going to artificially enhance the curl a little bit. And then at the end, I'm going to go right to the end and really focus on reinforcing that first bend, which got pulled and flattened a little bit. We really want to encourage that right there at the root to give us a little bit more volume. You can even root clip those if you want to. So for the rest, I'm just going to brush through, I think, with a little bit, there we go. See how much less stringy that is already? And then you can just scrunch it. And it kind of will reveal to you the curl pattern that it wants to take on. I have a cowlick somewhere in here, so let's see. This wants to go that way. Let's see. This usually wants to go on that side. So I will break this into a top and a bottom. And I really just like try to work with what my hair wants to do. I find it so much easier because of that cowlick in my bangs. That's why you often see me not have like a middle part or a side part, but I end up with this like weird like off center part. It's because of my cowlick. Sometimes I just work with it. It's easier. Okay, there we go. And on this side, this piece right here has a tendency to be a real pain. So we're gonna brush curl this too. So we ended up doing a lot more brush curls than I expected, but start to finish, that was 13 minutes to do my whole head of brush styling. So you see, it really doesn't have to be a massive undertaking. Of course, the like bigger part of this undertaking is gonna be the diffusing. That always ends up being the most time-consuming part. One thing that you can do to help with that, of course, is you can buy a hood dryer. They're about the same price as a regular blow dryer. They tend to be in like the $200 price range, between $150 and $200. I know not everybody's spending that much on a blow dryer, but some people are. So that's an option, although it is good to have a regular blow dryer as well, so a bit of a luxury item there. I don't have a hood dryer, so we're gonna do regular diffusing today, but before I do that, I am gonna do a bit of a micro pop. Just gonna plug this in. Okay. Okay. So some people like to plop their hair in a t-shirt. I really don't like to do that. I find it gives me a lot of unnecessary frizz. I use a t-shirt towel or a microfiber towel. This is the Les Brand's t-shirt towel. So here I'm just doing this to squeeze out any excess water just to cut down on my dry time. You don't want to be like rubbing your hair or anything. We've done all that work to get rid of the frizz. You can see how frizz free it is. So you really don't want to go in and generate a whole bunch more frizz. You just want to really gently remove any excess water to cut down on your drying time. And already my hair's not even that dry anymore just from the styling process. Okay, So for the actual drying process itself, I'm gonna start with hover diffusing and then we're gonna go on with pixie diffusing. So hover diffusing is when you have your blow dryer on, I like to keep mine on a high heat setting for this, and you hover about 10 centimeters away from your hair. And this is basically going to mimic a very fast air dry. It's gonna minimally create frizz. So if you're somebody who has ever said, oh, I can't diffuse my hair, oh, I hurt my neck so bad at the gym. If you're somebody who's like, oh, I can't diffuse my hair, it just makes my hair frizzy, you need to try hover diffusing. It is such a great solution for that. It really should not be contributing to your overall frizz. If it is, it's either an indicator that the products you chose to put on your hair, or lack of products, are not doing their job to reduce frizz as your hair dries, or you had frizz before you started diffusing, okay? If you're hover diffusing and it's creating frizz, you either had wet frizz that's just becoming more noticeable as your hair dries, or it's something to do with your product selection or the amount of products you're using. The other thing that it could be, I guess, is if you are in serious protein overload, it can be really tricky to manage the frizz. So I like to kind of move back and forth while I'm hover diffusing. I like to have a bit of a movable part, and I find that also really helps with the root volume, but it's not completely necessary. If you have accessibility issues, you could just put root clips in your hair and you could hover diffuse completely upright, so you definitely don't have to be doing this, like to the side thing. What does protein overload look or feel like? That's such a good question. So if you're wondering, on YouTube, I'm live on TikTok at the same time. So people can ask questions in both spots. So basically, protein overload typically looks like your hair starts to feel a little bit more brittle and tangled, and maybe even straw-like. You're probably going to start getting breakage, and it usually starts to feel pretty dry. Protein overload is caused by using too many products that contain protein ingredients. Like, protein ingredients can be really good for your hair in moderation, and everybody needs a different amount of protein. So anybody who has color treated or damaged hair, good chance that their hair is going to benefit from protein. But also other people who just have fragile or fine hair, lots of different people can benefit from having protein ingredients in their hair products. It's possible to overdo it, and you can go, that protein can start to build up on your hair, and it can cause protein overload. It's like, kind of like if you're working at a hotel and you starch the sheets. It's good to starch the sheets, but if you over-starch them, they get like yucky. The same type of concept. Oh, so disappointing. What just happened? What just happened? So again, I'm just hover diffusing to create a minimal amount of frizz right now. Yay! Happy Saturday, Tony! Having a diffuser can make such a big difference in your wavy or curly hair routine. Like, it's truly unbelievable. It can give you so much more volume and can really help with frizz control once you get a good diffusing technique down. You can see how little frizz I have, and that's because we used lots of the original Curl Keeper, which is so great at controlling frizz. So because I used Curl Keeper and I used the less gel, I am expecting to get at least a small amount of the cast. We'll see how much of a cast I get. But I'm gonna do this hover diffusing until I start to feel that the outside of my spirals are like almost stiff to the touch and relatively dry. They might not look dry, but they will feel pretty dry to the touch. You're nearly 4 months into my straightener ban and still getting some terrible hair days. Is this normal? Yes. First of all, you will always get some terrible hair days. I know that's not the news that you want to hear. However, it's true. My diffuser, guys, is from Lust Brands. I have a code, GHWH10, which gets you 10% off. It's the link in my bio. But 4 months in, ultimately for a lot of people, damage, you can, if you have damage in your hair, especially heat damage, yes, you can try like Olaplex 0, Olaplex 3, things like that, and that will help. But a big part of it is going to be growing out that damage. I would recommend going to get a really good trim to cut off some of that damage. And then the other thing I would say is remember that heat and chemicals and bleach are not the only things that can damage your hair. You can go into protein overload. Your hair can be lacking protein. You can become over moisturized. Your hair can be lacking moisture. So you're going to want to start to understand those concepts as well. So Sally, have you done any bond treatments at all? Have you done Olaplex or K18 or like the Rapid Hair Repair by Curl Keeper? That's my first question because that'll probably help. And Sally, the one thing I would say is you've come so far, stick with it, because the truth is when your hair is healthy, it will be so much easier to style. Like here's a perfect example actually. Do you see how until about there my hair is curlier all in here? It's because I need to get a trim. I haven't had my hair cut in like 8 months, and all this at this point, it's a little bit damaged just from like I blow dry, I straighten from time to time. It's not even like anything bad. It's just it's time for that to be cut off, and you can see how it's a little bit looser than it is up here. So you can imagine if you actually have severe heat damage or chemical damage, what a difference it can make. You didn't like Olaplex. So well, remember that Olaplex isn't supposed to make your hair feel like soft, and I think a lot of people misunderstand what Olaplex is supposed to do. Olaplex is gonna leave your hair feeling a little bit dry and stiff. It's not a deep conditioner. It's not the same thing, okay? It's a bond repair. It's strengthening your hair. So it's something that you use periodically when you're trying to heal your hair in conjunction with those deep conditioners that are going to help you with like the softening and the moisture. Your hair felt mushy after you use it? Ooh. Yeah, maybe avoid it then. If your hair feels mushy while wet, that's typically a sign that your hair is becoming over moisturized. But I don't know why Olaplex would make your hair over moisturized. How long did you leave it in your hair for? Okay, I am loving the definition that I'm getting right now. This is making me very happy. So let's just see how dry we are, because obviously it looks super wet right now, but that's probably my cast. Okay, so I would say I'm actually 60% dry. So I'm gonna switch now to pixie diffusing. So there's two types of pixie diffusing. There's what I affectionately call manic pixie diffusing, where you go like this, okay? That is a good technique if you're actively trying to break up your hair. You're actively trying to break a cast, create volume. However, if you're trying to reduce frizz and keep like a more restrained curl pattern, then I would try not manic pixie diffusing and just try traditional pixie diffusing. So I would cup the hair into the mouth of your diffuser and hold that position for like 20 to 30 seconds before you go and move it. Sally, does your hair still feel mushy? Like what are the symptoms that you're struggling with? Also, by the way, you can send me a DM with your pictures of your hair on Instagram. And I can try and give you some one-on-one help just to get you like over this hump, because I know it can be frustrating, especially at that 4-month mark. I struggled as well. I was about 6 months in where I was like, I haven't heat styled in 6 months. I have no dye in my hair, and my hair is more damaged than it's ever been. Like, what is happening? For me, my hair was over moisturized. So it can be a myriad of things. It's not necessarily that for you. But yeah, I know it can be so helpful just to have somebody quickly like hear what your symptoms are. So Sally, when you message me, tell me what your symptoms are and give me a rough idea of what your current routine is. Okay, so again, we're just pixie diffusing at this point, but in order to create minimal amounts of frizz, do you notice how I'm actually turning the diffuser off before I go and change the position of the diffuser? It's another tactic for reducing the amount of frizz that I create. Okay. Oops. Okay, we're gonna do the top now. Thank you, Sally. That's very sweet. Yeah, the frizz control is on point today. So my hair was really not as curly as it usually is on my last wash day. So I tried, no, Sally, you can't send pictures on TikTok. Do you have Instagram? I would DM me on Instagram. My hair is really frizzy and some sections won't curl even if I diffuse. So there can be a lot of reasons why certain sections of your hair aren't curling. It can be just natural variation in your curl pattern, in which case there isn't much you can do about it if it's just your natural curl pattern. You can try certain techniques to make that area look curlier, brush curls, pin curls, using a curling iron. Also a really good haircut will help blend the different curl patterns that you have on your head. However, there are other reasons that you might be having issues. One is you might have damage. Like, is that where you get highlights and that area is not curling as much as the other areas of your head? It's because you have damage. Try something like Olaplex 0 or Olaplex 3 as a bond treatment to help repair that. Something else is sometimes hair that is lacking protein. Hair that is lacking protein will not curl as much and will struggle to hold curl. So the other thing you can do is try using some products that have protein ingredients in them. You could try a shampoo and conditioner that has protein ingredients. You could try a protein treatment, or you could just try using like a curl cream that had protein ingredients in it. But yeah, having a variety of different curl patterns on your head is completely normal. I have massive variation of the different curl patterns on my head. I have some really tight spirals that start almost at the root, and they're just like tiny little corkscrews that are about the width of like a Sharpie. And then I have other areas of my head where it's an S wave, a very loose S wave. It is completely normal to have a varied curl pattern on your head. And that is just the reality of having wavy hair, especially curly hair too. So at this point, I'm kind of doing a blend of techniques as far as diffusing. My hair is almost dry. I'm less worried now about breaking the cast. I just want to get it there because my hair is almost dry. There's almost no frizz. You can see almost no frizz. So now I'm going to be a little rougher with the blow dryer, and I'm just going to focus on really getting the hair bone dry. Not bad. That was like a 15-minute blow dry. I have not tried K18. I have not tried it. I've tried Olaplex once, but I'll be honest with you, I don't have damage in my hair. And I never tried a bond treatment when I did have damage in my hair. So although I have tried Olaplex, I've never tried K18. So I can't like speak knowledgeably about the pros and cons of each. So again, you can see how it's shiny. That is the cast. So at this point, I have that gel cast. So I'm just continuing to blow dry until my hair is 100% dry, and I'm being a little bit rougher now with the blow dryer, as it's going to actually help me break that cast. And now, woo, I'm gonna scrunch it out to get rid of some of that like shiny, almost wet look that I had. Scrunch it out on both sides. That typically is gonna reveal that your hair is still a little bit wet when you scrunch out the cast. So then you go back in and get rid of that last little bit of wetness. Turned out pretty good today, I think. Pretty, like very spirally compared to my last wash day. Okay. Oh, my lower back. My dog's barking. So because I did do a lot of brush curls and I was in a rush, so I didn't really make them as small as I normally would, you are better off to just do smaller brush curls in the first place, because whatever size the brush curl is when you brush curl it and when you dry your hair, it's going to keep reforming into these larger clumps, which is going to drive me absolutely bonkers all night tonight. So I wouldn't recommend that. I would just do smaller brush curls to begin with. But anyways, maybe I'll do a little hairspray to help them stay broken up. I know, exactly. Exactly. So I'm just going through and breaking up any of those larger curl clumps. You could also brush through with a very wide tooth comb on your hair if you wanted. Some people do that. Some people, that ruins their hair. So do what works for you. Got another one right here. It's generally a good idea to try and break up the clump right from the root, so that it doesn't reform quite as quickly. Here we go. Okay, so this one I brush curled in that direction, hoping it would stay on this side, but now that my hair is dry, I feel like it's gonna wanna go on the other side, which is so annoying. And this is gonna go here. Okay, so we've got one side that's looking pretty good. How's this side looking? Break some of these up. So this top section of my head is by far the least spirally section of my head. Right through here, it has a real tendency to fall flat. And you can see I didn't do gravity fed curls today, which is a technique explicitly for creating more root volume. And I would say I have a lot less root volume as a result. So, I mean, it just goes to show that that technique is really effective, and we didn't do it today, so we're paying the price. Although, you know, we got a little bit of root volume here, so we've got it in some spots. So I'm gonna shake out my hair. I don't know about this, eh? This is not it, eh? I feel like I'm going to a little boy going to Catholic school with that part. Okay. Sounds like she's about to throw up. Don't throw up in the bed. Ah. Come on, sweetheart. So close. So close to her not throwing up on my bed. Oh, okay. Okay, we're definitely coming along though here. I don't know about some of these pieces. I think we just want to be on this side. I think I over-directed too much of this. So when I deal with this after the fact, I usually find the easiest way to fix this. Actually, I might even just be able to do that. That might be okay. You could spritz it with a little bit of water and just like brush curl it and rediffuse it. I don't know, you've got some options there. Now, let's see what we're gonna do. I am going to use a little bit of a light oil to scrunch out a little bit of the crunch on my hair. just wondering if I should wait. I'm gonna try diffusing it a little bit more because it does feel a little damp still. Sometimes it's so hard to know if your hair is still wet or if it's just like the feeling of the product in your hair. Okay, I'm gonna take a little bit of the Bounce Curl Light Oil. Isn't that the prettiest? So cute. My poor dog. I don't know why she just threw up. We'll go check on her in a second. Okay, so I am gonna use that just to scrunch. So what oil does is it helps to break down the cast a little bit. So now that I do that, I don't know why I couldn't feel it beforehand. It is a little damp right here. Sometimes breaking down that cast a little bit, if it feels like there's a lot of product still in your hair, can help restore a little bit of volume. And the oil can just like help to get more movement back in the hair. You don't want to use too much though, and it has to be a very light oil for that to work. So the products that I use today are the original Curl Keeper and the Less Brands Irish Sea Moss Gel, which I think are both linked in my bio. So I'm trying to like bring a little bit of frizz back into it because I kind of wanted to have a big hair today. Okay. Here, we'll do like a cute. Oh my God, my stomach's so pasty white. Cute. After all that, I think I do like it better to the side. So, and then the last thing I'm gonna do is tweak, which is a cream hairspray. And it's just gonna help me get that extra little bit of volume right through there. So you're gonna take a little bit on your hands like this, and I like to just like focus it really on my fingers, and the tips of my fingers. Are the Lush Sea Moss only available on the website? Maybe, they might have it on Amazon, you can check. Okay, so then I put my hands in here and I'm going to really zhuzh it and massage my scalp with it. And I'm really trying to almost create a little bit of frizz at my roots. And this really can help create that extra bit of lift through the top of my hair. And I'm gonna do it at the back a little bit too, where I tend to struggle right here with getting lift right on kind of the small of my head. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Woo, we got volume. There we go. I'm a lot happier with that. So that's like a pretty severe side part. I think that's a little bit too much. It's funny when people are always like, have opinions about side parts or middle parts, or like, it's cute that you think we have a choice. Our hair decides what the parting will be on that day. So again, I already have that tweak in my hair now. So I'm just trying to build it up by creating that little bit of frizz, and it's that like cream hairspray that will give me that little bit of lift. And see, it just gives me that extra bit of volume through there. I'm pretty happy with that. This turned out not to be the curliest piece in the world, but I've been struggling with this piece lately. I wonder if it needs a little bit of protein. Yeah, so anyways, we'll give you like the online view. I don't know, how does the back look? I didn't even look at the back, so I have no idea. Let me look in the mirror. Oh, even looking in the back, I can't see. There's no lighting. I'm pretty happy with that. I just had one curl that I wanted to break up right here a little bit more. Yeah, cream hairspray. It's the Tweak by Curl Keeper. It's the strangest product, and they advertise it as a cream hairspray, but basically what I use it for is that like zhuzhing of the roots that you saw me doing. So kind of what I want here is I don't want my curls to be, or my spirals to be too defined. I want them to be like a little bit bigger, a little bit looser, and like a little bit more rock star. So that's kind of why I'm breaking everything up a little bit, because I think everything will just blend a bit better if I do that. And part of why I'm doing that is because it gets so stringy down here because I really need a haircut. So I just feel like that gives the look that I don't know, it hides it a little bit. Okay. I make TikToks out of these later, so I have to do those like final shots. Yes, I have layers. So this is my shortest layers here, and these are my longest layers here. You can see what a difference that is, eh? So now when my hair is straightened, these shortest layers are actually like down to here, and these longest layers are actually down to here. But yes, I absolutely have layers. So what layers are gonna do is give you this like more rounded shape as opposed to more of a triangle shape. Now I was watching a girl get cut, her haircut the other day, who actually was going for a very triangle shape with her wavy hair with very cute bangs, and it was a very like Parisian look. It was wavy hair and it was so cute. So I am not gonna hate on triangle haircuts anymore. I think there is a place for them. I think they can be so cute. However, triangle is not the shape that I go for. I'm going for like more of a rounded shape, and in order to achieve that, you absolutely need to have layers so that these top sections, if these top sections of hair went out all the way down to here, you can imagine the shape of my hair would be like that, right? I hope that helps. Okay, thanks so much for joining today, and YouTube officially, that's my YouTube virginity. This is my first ever YouTube live, so if you caught me, thanks so much, and I love you all. Okay, bye.